Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For anyone who's new here, hi, my name is Nikki. For today's video, it's gonna be simple. It's gonna be candle making basics. We're gonna talk about waxes. This video is not going to be long. It's gonna be super short. I won't be going too in depth. I'm just gonna skirt over the basics things about waxes. So let's jump right into it. The first thing is there are many different types of waxes. You have soy wax, paraffin wax, beeswax, coconut wax, palm wax, gel wax, parasoy wax. There's so many different types of waxes. Now the two main waxes that people usually use to make candles is soy or paraffin, or a pro blend of soy and paraffin. Whichever type of wax you choose to go with for your company will depend on several factors, one of which being your personal preference of wax, whether you choose to use soy or paraffin. Now I do have somewhere in a video, which I'll also link in this video, about a article, a study that proves that soy doesn't burn any cleaner than paraffin. I don't want to have a debate on that, to be honest. I'm going to link the article down below for anyone who wants to read it. But again, for anyone who's picking their wax, several factors come into play: your personal preference, what the customer's demand base is, and how available it is to you within your country or your region. Under each category of wax, there are different versions of those waxes. For example, under soy wax, you have container soy wax, you have tart soy wax. Same thing on the paraffin, you have container paraffin wax, you have tart or mold paraffin wax. There is no one size fits all for temperatures for waxes. Not because one soy wax might say heat to 185 doesn't mean another type of soy wax should be heated to 185. For example, 464 requires you heat it or you melt that wax to 185 degrees. But Nature C3 wax says melt between 130 and 190. You want to make sure when you're buying your waxes from whatever supplier or whatever website, it tells you what temperature to melt your wax, what temperature to add your oil or your dyes, what temperature to pour your melted wax into your container or your mold. Do not, guys, I repeat, do not purchase wax from a supplier that doesn't give you the temperatures for that wax. If you were to purchase that wax, for example, you cannot just go and pick a random temperature to melt that wax to. Each and every wax that is used to make candle have a specific temperature it needed to be melted to, either a specific temperature or a specific range of temperature. The same thing can be said for paraffin waxes. Not all paraffin waxes will melt to the same temperature. Now let's talk about interchanging your waxes. You cannot use container wax to make mold or tart or wax melts. The same way you can't use tart, mold, or wax melt wax to make container wax. Container wax tend to be much softer than tart or mold wax. If you were to use, for example, a container wax into a bubble candle mold, you'll find removing the candle from the mold that there's some waxes still sticking to that mold. Because the wax is so soft, it doesn't harden enough for it to be one solidified shape to be popped out of the mold. Because of the different components of soy and paraffin, like temperature, there's no one size fits all when it comes to your wicks. You might find that a wick might work with your one jar, your one wax, and fragrance oil A, but the wick won't work with the same jar, the same wax, and fragrance oil B. That's another topic we have to get into in a different video, because wicks are very complicated and it's the most difficult part of making a candle. You might be lucky and find that you have one wick working with several different fragrance oil and wax combination, but it won't always be the same case. There are specific wicks for soy waxes, and there are also specific wicks for paraffin waxes. There are also specific wicks for beeswax and coconut wax. There are specific wax makes for different versions of waxes. Now, some tips for waxes when you're using to make your candle. These tips can be used for any wax. It doesn't matter what category of wax you choose or what type of wax you choose. When you're stirring your fragrance oil into your wax, stir slowly. That's one. 2, do not use anything metallic when you're stirring. Try to use a heat resistant spatula or spoon to stir. Reason being is, once you use a metallic spoon or stirrer and you touch your wax temperature will drop drastically, for sure. Here's in a melted pot, let's say a pressed pot to melt your wax, and you're transferring it to a pitcher. Try to use a heat resistant pitcher as well, and not a metallic pitcher. The only way you will use your metal pitcher is if you're using double boiler method, where you're putting your wax into your pitcher and putting that pitcher into a pot of water. One third thing that is actually very, very important as well is the atmosphere in which you're making your candle. Try to make sure your atmosphere is at room temperature. If you live in a very, very hot area, try to get it a little bit colder. If you live in a very, very cold area, try to get it a little bit warmer. You do not want the temperature of your wax sitting melted for too long. You also don't want it solidifying too quickly as well. One last thing to note about your waxes. Not every fragrance oil will work with every wax. This is why I implore you guys to ask your suppliers when you're purchasing your wax, what oils work best. There's some oils that work best in certain waxes, and there's some oils that perform very poorly in that same wax. So always be mindful, always research, always ask these questions before you purchase your waxes and your fragrance oils. Okay guys, that is it for this video. Like I said in the beginning, it was going to be a very short video, just to skim over a few ideas when it came to waxes. We'll try to get a video up talking about Wicks soon. As always guys, thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end of my video and you like my content, please subscribe to my channel. I really, really appreciate it. Bye guys, and like always, take care.